Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building here in Del Sol Valley, which is the world that came with the Get Famous expansion pack. This is a world where I have really not built that much in. I really like this world. I am just a bit sad that it's not bigger, I think is my issue with it. And also I think the style for me is a bit difficult, but I finally built something here in this more like downtown area and I'm so excited. I hope you guys will like it. I've been wanting to build down here for so long, basically since the pack came out, but I've just been kind of unsure exactly what I wanted everything to look like. I mean, I had like a general idea, but I've been a bit indecisive and I had like a couple of ideas that really wouldn't go together necessarily, but I wanted it to feel like a city. I wanted it to be more blocky and look like, yeah, like buildings. Like it's just more just city blocks kind of. I mean, I wanted it to suit the style of Del Sol Valley, so it's a bit more like Los Angeles because it is inspired by that city. So yeah, I wanted it to feel like that and I think I made it work. And yeah, I'm definitely very excited to share it with you guys. I actually built this like 3 weeks ago, I think by now, and I've just been a bit intimidated by the voiceover for some reason. I've done so many 30-minute voiceovers. Actually, this one's a bit longer. I think it's 34 minutes before screenshots, and there might be quite a few screenshots, so it's going to be probably close to like 40 minutes after I put the screenshots in because I'm not exactly sure. There's going to be so many pictures because this build is humongous. But either way, I've been intimidated by doing a long voiceover. Hopefully it's fine. Yeah, this is the lot where the gym is. So if you guys are familiar with this world and you have Get Famous, then you probably know it pretty well. But yeah, it's the gym lot. And if you guys have watched my other community lots before, you probably know that I like to make my community lots like multifunctional. I don't want them just to be one purpose because I feel like it's just kind of a waste of space. Not all the time, sometimes it works out, but I really like there to be like multiple things that your Sims can do. That way, if you're telling a story, it kind of gives you more options, or if you just want a variety, you don't have to like travel to different lots. All you have to do is like change the icon on the top left hand side of the screen to the different lot types, because this one does have a coffee shop, so you could switch it to a cafe lot if you prefer that. Otherwise, you can leave it as a gym lot. You could also switch it to a retail lot if you want to, because I built a grocery store. I've never built a grocery store in game and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I think it's so cool. But yeah, and it also has a yoga studio. So the yoga studio is completely fine with the gym lot type because you will still have an instructor show up. Your Sims will do yoga. There's like regular classes every like 30-40 minutes or something like that in game. But the retail store, I feel like it's one that you're not really going to want to switch it to. I mean, if you love the retail system in game, then by all means switch it to a retail store and, you know, use it at a grocery store, and then you could still like use the other things. I'm not really sure if the other Sims would really like use the gym equipment, and there'd probably be no yoga instructor. So I just don't think it would really run the best as a retail store. And also it's kind of frustrating to me because when you're visiting a retail lot, you can't click on the icon and change the lot type. So let's say you wanted to visit this as a grocery store and then you wanted to pretend like your Sims were getting coffee, maybe even before they were going grocery shopping. You can't actually switch it from a retail store back to something else. I think you might be able to switch it from like a gym or a cafe lot to a retail store, but the retail stores are just a bit tricky. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that and kind of explain it in case you guys were curious why I'm not really recommending running it as a retail store, because it should function just fine. I mean, actually, it might have a few issues with the cash registers because I did use move objects to place them exactly where I wanted to. The grocery store is basically for looks, is all I'm saying. I think is like what it's getting down to. But I really love it, and I love the coffee shop. It's gonna be totally functional. It completely works. You can leave it as a gym lot type, and so you still have the yoga studio that functions perfectly. Your Sims will do yoga autonomously, like all of the, you know, extra Sims, and then there will be an instructor that shows up. And then the cafe, you can actually just hire a barista. It does cost like 100 simoleons or something like that, which is a bit unfortunate. I really wish if you placed a bar or a barista bar, either one of those, then the barista or the bartender would just autonomously show up. You don't have to hire them, because I feel like it would just be making builds like this so much easier. I mean, they work like completely fine and they're so functional, but it would just make it a little bit easier. That way your Sims didn't have to spend the money to hire one. But either way, I still think it like works really well. I play tested this build actually quite a bit, and I thought it was really fun to play in. I played in the gym a lot. I had my sim do yoga. Of course, I had them buy coffee. The only thing I didn't play test is the grocery store. I feel so weird saying that because I do like my builds to be very usable, but it is mostly for looks. But if you wanted it to be, I'm sure just maybe move the cash register to snap to the counter. I think it's snap to the counter, but I kind of merged them into each other. You'll see when we get onto the grocery store, but it's still really cool. I did a lot of cool tricks in there. I was watching some other grocery store builds because I really wasn't sure how to really make it look like a grocery store, and I found this amazing video by Irrelevant Sims. If you guys have never seen her channel before, you should definitely check her out and watch her videos. She has some amazing builds. She doesn't really upload that much anymore, but she does every once in a while. And she's still like one of the best builders. Absolutely love her stuff. And I found her grocery store, and she did this amazing thing with the laundry carts that we got from, I think it was Parenthood, and she made them look like they were grocery shopping carts. I thought it was like absolutely brilliant. So I will link her video in the description so you guys can check it out. And yeah, I just thought that was so smart, and it was one of the coolest things I saw. So she's so talented. But anyways, as you can see, the shape of the build has basically came together. I'm just adding some benches and some trash cans. The exterior really doesn't have like a ton of decorations. I do put a sign in front of the coffee shop. I placed a few things out here in front of the grocery store right now, but in the end, I think it ends up having maybe like one sign and then the shopping cart trick. And then other than that, in front of the coffee shop, I do also put some outdoor dining tables. So your Sims can sit outside and drink their coffee and like look at the city around them, which I think is really cool. This area is so neat. Actually, what I love about this world in general is there's so much going on, and it's so dense, and there's like so many little details and stuff. It's really honestly one of the coolest worlds that we have, and I don't give it enough credit because I've been so disappointed about the size of it, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, not that I'm wrong in being disappointed, because of course I can be disappointed, because I was really looking forward to a world like this, because if you guys don't know, I live in California, not too far from Los Angeles, so I've been there a ton, and I'm very familiar with it, and I've said multiple times that I've wanted a world where we had somewhere that had like a Santa Monica sort of like Venice Beach area, and you can see it from the map. You can see where like the pier is with the Ferris wheel, and you can see the ocean, but your Sims can't go there. There's no lots there. I think like if they would have included like even like 2 lots over there, that would have like made this world honestly one of the best worlds that we have, because it is so good. And so I think I just had such high expectations, because it's still a really nice world. But either way, there you just noticed I placed the outdoor dining tables, and here I'm just switching up the color of these columns. I thought this was kind of like a cool detail or decoration. On this upstairs level, this is going to be like the exercise rooms where the classes would be for the gym, and then down here is where the yoga studio is going to be. And I've actually built several of these before. I think this is like my 5th yoga studio I've built so far. Yeah, I think I've done like 3 or 4 of them. I know I've done at least 3. But yeah, I tried to make it look different than the other ones that I've built, so hopefully it's not too repetitive, because I still feel like it looks a little bit similar, but I'm not really sure if there's that many different things you could do, because I just like to add the mats and then a bunch of mirrors, because I feel like that looks like a yoga studio. And I think this is such a fun idea, and I think it's so perfect for this world, because since it's inspired by LA, I feel like you have to have a yoga studio. And also the coffee shop I feel like makes sense, and it looks so much like Starbucks. I was so happy about that. I did want the coffee shop to feel a bit more like a Whole Foods market, or like kind of like a Whole Foods, but it ends up being more of just like a tiny little market, just a tiny little grocery store. It's not like a big chain store, grocery store. It's just a bit smaller, but I still feel like it has the vibe. And then the gym is just like a huge industrial gym, just kind of like bare bones, kind of like LA Fitness, that type of thing. And I've never been to an LA Fitness, so I'm not really sure if it looks like one, but you know, just like a big chain gym is what I wanted it to look like. So I think it makes sense. But here you can see the yoga studio is coming together. I wanted there to be some like decals and artwork around, so I do actually end up using that sign, this one that I have here behind this counter. I thought it was so cool. I thought it kind of looked like, I don't don't know, it's kind of like a llama with a long tail. So is it a dog? I'm not really sure what that animal is supposed to be, but I was thinking that it was the symbol of the yoga studio, and so they probably just use that on all their advertising and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool, and then maybe the name of the yoga studio was right below it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then here I am using a couple of cash registers so it can look like there's a check-in counter, so your Sims can actually sign up for the classes or, you know, get a membership or whatever. Nobody will actually be working behind this counter, so it's a bit unfortunate, but I still like using it as decoration. And then other than that, here in the front, I just put a couple of just chairs, so if you wanted to pretend like your Sim was waiting for the yoga class, they have somewhere to sit down and it fills in the space nicely. Then I also put some towels and a stereo in here so you could play some music and listen to music while you did your workout. Not that that really maybe goes along with doing yoga necessarily, but I've taken some Pilates classes at gyms before and they always play like really fun music and stuff, at least the ones I've done before. I'm sure there's different types, but yeah, I always thought that was kind of nice. So I wanted to include that. And then other than that, I think this is basically it for the entire yoga studio. I do end up getting rid of these signs on, I think, the left and the right, because I wanted there to be a place to put your shoes because in my experience, you take off your shoes. And so I just put some lockers in here so you could hang up your, or not hang up, but you know, you could put your coat away, you could put your purse away, you could take off your shoes, store your things in there. And I also put some extra towels over here and then some flowers. And yeah, that's it. I think it's super cute. I really like it. And I think it does look different than other ones that I've done. So I'm pretty proud of it. But over here is going to be the actual gym location. And so this is the biggest building out of all four of them. And down here, I do have a ton of treadmills. I also get a few of them up on the second floor as well. But down here is basically where you check in. You could buy some protein powder or an energy drink or something. I do end up using those signs that we got from, I think it was Spa Day, but I put them behind the counter and I wanted it to look like, yeah, your Sims could buy some protein powder, energy drink, pre-workout, all of those types of things. I also end up placing some towels on the counter, a couple of cash registers, and yeah, again, no Sims will actually be standing here working, but there are like trainers and stuff that will work at gyms and games, so that's pretty cool. I do like it when community lots actually have somebody working, because it just, I don't know, it makes it feel more like a community lot, so it's always kind of frustrating, but either way, I still like it to look like it. And then here on the counter, I just put some like random decorations, some pins and pencils. I put that fan there, and then here I'm placing those towels because at least the gyms I've been to, they do have towels available for you to wipe yourself down, wipe off the equipment and stuff like that. And then here next to it, I merged a trash can and then a laundry basket together because I wanted it to feel like, you know, some people have already thrown their towels in there, and I thought that looked pretty cool. And then I was going to have this area behind the counters in between the staircase be a couple of bathrooms, and they do end up being a couple of bathrooms, but they're not accessible through the gym lot. They're actually accessible through the coffee shop later, and I think I actually forgot to record me decorating them. It was pretty funny. I think I decorated like the sink area, and then I divided out where the stalls were going to be, but then I didn't actually put any toilets or anything in there, and I went to go take the screenshots and realized there was nothing in there. So there is a couple of toilets, but it's really not that big of a deal. They're not that fancy, and you'll see part of it. But up here on the second floor, this is the area above the yoga studio. So I was thinking this is where like the extra classes were gonna be. So like in real life, you'd probably see like the spin classes or the Zumba classes or I don't know, other classes like that, but instead in game we have kickboxing and we also have the punching bag. There's not going to be an instructor, so they're not actual classes, but that's my idea behind them. And then over here I do put some weights. I wish all of our weights didn't look exactly the same. I wish we had some like free weights or something. I think that would be kind of cool. But I used a couple of different ones to maybe feel like they were different machines, so maybe they work different parts of your body. Like you have some for arms, you have some for legs, some for abs, some for back, all the different parts. And then here is where I placed a couple of extra treadmills and a couple of TVs. And yeah, I have some of them facing the TVs and the other ones are just like looking out the window. So I thought that was kind of nice. And then other than that, I didn't really add like a ton of other decorations. I think I just have a couple of posters. I tried adding a sign. You'll see here above the staircase in just a little while. It might have worked. I don't know. I think it's a good idea, but it really wasn't looking like the way I wanted to. And then over there above the grocery store and above the coffee shop is where I end up doing the bathrooms for the gyms, because the reason I decided not to do the area behind the stairs is because I was only going to be able to make like a single bathroom with a couple of stalls, and I really wanted those like grand bathrooms with the showers and the benches and the lockers so you could change. And I also want to use these toilet stalls because I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to use and pretty realistic. And I actually really like the way the bathrooms turned out. I think they're really nice, and I also like, yeah, the showers, and like I think it just looks realistic, and I think that's the reason I like it so much. And I think it matches the rest of the build. So I know they're not that interesting. It's not everybody's like favorite thing is bathrooms, but I think they look really cool. At this point, they're very like white and gray. They're very monochrome and they look kind of boring in my opinion. So I end up switching out the tile for a like, it's not necessarily terracotta, but it's like a brownish tile color. And I think it looks a little bit better and it adds a little bit of like a pop of color to it. But I like the shower stalls because I did custom ones and I used that shower that came from Discovery University. And so I thought that was kind of nice. I ended up placing some like towels and some more of those trash cans with the laundry baskets merged into them because I wanted it to feel like, you know, your Sims have thrown their dirty towels from cleaning the equipment and wiping themselves off. I also get like a plant in the corner, and then I have those mirrors, and other than that, I think this is basically it for the bathroom. The other bathroom ends up looking exactly the same. Oh yeah, I ended up adding some like clutter. So I have this megaphone, a basketball, I placed a soccer ball, and a backpack just to kind of make it feel a little bit more lively, like people are actually using it. But the other bathroom is exactly the same. I do use the gender specific doors, so you could easily switch those out if you wanted it to be where, you know, either male or female could use both of the bathrooms, but I felt like it was more realistic to do the gender specific one, so that's what I ended up doing. But over here you can see I am copying over the items. This bathroom comes together really quickly, but here is where I decided to switch up the tile. I think it just brightens it up so much, and it doesn't look like too out of place. Like, I think the reason I wasn't going to do it is because the rest of the gym is so like gray and white and industrial feeling that I felt like if I used any color, it really wasn't going to match, but I think the brown works perfectly. And I think these shower stalls are a little bit bigger than the other ones by like a tile or so, but that's just because the space wasn't exactly the same. But I use the same lockers, the same benches, and I also end up going through and adding the trash cans with the laundry baskets in them, plant in the corner. It's really exactly the same. And I even put the clutter on the benches too as well. So I thought that was kind of nice. Actually doing this voiceover is making me realize how much I miss going to the gym. I think that's one of the things that I miss the most. I recently did a voiceover, what was that, like a few weeks ago, something like that. It was a really long voiceover and I asked you guys to leave me questions, and I got a question asking what have I missed the most while being in quarantine, and I think I miss the gym. Not that I went like a ton, but I did go, and I missed having that as an activity, so I'm definitely looking forward to those opening up again. California's opened up a few things. I think the beaches are starting to open up, and in my town things are starting to open up a little bit, but it's still mostly shut down. So you guys should let me know what it's like in your area, if you have anything that you're missing. Yeah, but I think I'm missing the gym. Oh, and something I also wanted to mention, you may notice that I placed a couple of fountains around. I wanted those to feel like, or I guess they're not fountains. I wanted them to look like fountains. I wanted them to feel like water fountains, but they're just sinks. But I think they kind of look like maybe they could be water fountains, so I thought that was kind of a fun idea. But that's it for the gym lot, and then over here is where the coffee shop is going to be, and then I will decorate the grocery store last. And so my idea was definitely Starbucks. I wanted it to feel like Starbucks. Actually, I think that came a little bit later on. When I was first decorating it, I wanted it to look a little bit more like one of those really cool like hipster coffee shops that have a ton of greenery in them, which I think is a really fun idea. But then I got a burst of inspiration to make it feel a bit more like Starbucks, and I think that comes when I place this like rope around. You'll see me, it's a rope fence, but I place it in front of the barista bar, and I wanted it to look like that's where your Sims would stand in line to get their coffee. And I placed these display tables next to it, and I put a bunch of like bags of coffee and stuff. And I think it just ends up looking so good. This is honestly probably my favorite coffee shop I've ever done. Actually, I don't know if that's true because I've built so many coffee shops, so that might not be exactly true, but I think it's like the most realistic looking one, at least from my experience, because I mean, Starbucks is everywhere. Yeah, like literally everywhere. Sometimes there will be like two like a block away from each other, and you're like, why, how do they even stay in business? They're the same place. It kind of doesn't make any sense, but they're everywhere. And so I figured if I was going to be doing an LA inspired world and trying to make this build feel like it would actually be in LA, I might as well try to make a coffee shop that looks like Starbucks. And so I thought that was pretty perfect, and I really like the way it turns out. I love these floorboards. If you guys aren't familiar with these floorboards yet, they came with Jungle Adventure and they're so pretty. They're probably my favorite ones. And then the tables that I'm using came with Dine Out, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. And they're bar height, and so I think that actually looks pretty cool in here. And then I'm using the bar chairs that came with, I think it was Get Famous. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the pack they came with. But here I am adding the bags of coffee. So I felt like this really made it feel like Starbucks, because at least most of them that I've been in, they always have like this display area where you could buy the bags of coffee. You could also buy like coffee cups and thermoses and just various kind of like Starbucks merchandise basically. And so I wanted it to feel like that. We of course don't have like all of the cool different coffee cups. I could have used the ones from the debug menu and placed them around, but they're just all plain and white, so I really wasn't sure if it would have the same effect. So I just went with bags of coffee, and then I also have this shelf in between them, and I placed a few different decorations on it. I forget exactly what I placed on it, but mostly I just wanted it to feel like, yeah, it was just stuff for sale, and I think it looks so cool. So I'm really proud of it. And then I also liked using this fence to kind of separate the things that you would buy and then also where the people would stand in line. I was thinking that I used a rope fence, but this is definitely not a rope fence, it's a metal fence. So yeah, forgive me. Like I said, it's been like 3 weeks since I built this, so I'm bound to forget a few things. But anyways, here you can see I'm just adding those extra decorations to the shelf in between it. The metal canisters that I'm using is actually supposed to be tea. If you read the description in the debug menu, it says tea. And then also those little boxes that I think came from Get Together look like tea bags and stuff too, so I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I really like the way that looks. And then other than that, I do have some decorations up on the wall. I used just like various coffee shop looking things. I honestly felt a bit limited, like I didn't want to repeat myself, but thankfully with Get Together we do have these like display shelves, like this one that I'm using up above this counter, that have like the French presses and like the canisters, and it looks so cool. So I thought this looked really nice. But over here I want this to feel like the cream and sugar area where you would go in and kind of customize your coffee to your liking basically, or if you're getting tea you could get hot water over here or something like that. I'm not really sure if Starbucks have things like this, but I've been to tons of coffee shops that do, and it just kind of fills in the space nicely. So I thought it looks really good. And then yeah, other than that, I'm just picking out more artwork to put on the wall. This is the one thing that I struggled with the most because I just felt a bit limited with artwork that kind of made sense for the build, but I think I made it work, and I do really like the way it looks. And then I also ended up placing some like flowers on the table. Oh, I thought this sign was perfect. I'm not sure exactly what pack that sign came with, maybe Get to Work possibly, but I thought it looked really good over there. And I also liked placing those like greenery wall decorations that I placed there at the front. I thought that looked really good. But over here on the back counter, I just placed some like random decorations. I thought about placing a sink back here because I feel like that's so realistic to have a sink to like wash your dishes and cups and things. But unfortunately, random Sims will go back there and like get a drink of water or wash their hands. So I decided not to, but I do place a cash register because I thought that was pretty cool. And then another thing that I did that I thought was another really cool idea, and I was really proud of myself for it, I ended up using a mini fridge and I merged them into the counter. So it looks like those little fridges that you actually see in coffee shops where they store the milk and the cream and all of that kind of stuff. I think it looks really good. So maybe you guys won't be as excited as me, but I was like really proud of myself and I thought it looked really good. But yeah, I just used those ones, just the simple metal ones, and I thought it looked just nice and simple, and it was like exactly what I needed it to look like. So I was pretty happy with it. And then other than that, I'm just picking out a mat to put here around the barista bar. And then yeah, I think I just mess with the artwork some more. Like I said, this was like the biggest struggle for me. It shouldn't have been this difficult, but for whatever reason it was, and I think I was just being a bit picky, but I think it totally works out. And there's a few tables that I forgot some flowers on, but I do place those. And I actually really like the mixture of wall textures that I used. I think I mostly used, yeah, I think it's all brick. It's this brown brick that we got from, I believe, Get Famous, and then this base game, like really nice like plastery textured brick. I thought they complemented each other really nicely. But over here, this is where the bathrooms are. So they're the ones that are accessible through the coffee shop, but they're behind the stairs in the gym. So hopefully it's not too confusing. But like I said, you won't see me decorate the actual toilet stalls, but you'll see me decorate this area. It wasn't my intention, I just kind of spaced it, but it's just a simple bathroom. Nothing too exciting. But yeah, I think it looks nice anyways, even though it's just kind of a standard bathroom, but I think it definitely matches the coffee shop, which is what I was going for. I didn't want it to look too out of place or like it didn't belong. But over here, we are finally working on the grocery store. So I'm so excited for you guys to see it. Like I said, I was definitely inspired by Irrelevant Sims. She did some really cool tricks in her video that I watched. She used this table to look like the conveyor belt where you would see or not see, but you would, you know, place your food on and the food would travel for you to like bag your groceries. So I thought that was really smart. I ended up using a different item than she did, but I was definitely inspired to do that at all from her video. And then also the shopping cart idea, which you guys will see in just a little bit, was like the smartest thing. Like, I thought it was so cool. So I definitely had to use it. But other than that, I'm just placing a bunch of these like open looking refrigerators that we got from Get to Work. I almost said Get Together. There's so many Get-tos. But yeah, from Get to Work. And I did drag some food into them because I had my sim actually move into this lot as a residential and then stock the refrigerators with just random food. But it looks like they're actually full. So you might have to do that. I'm not sure if that'll transfer through the gallery. It probably won't. So if it doesn't, if they look empty, then maybe just switch it to a retail lot or to a residential lot and then have your sim put some food in there, have them sell it, and then have it switched back to a gym lot type. It's a bit confusing, but unfortunately they don't look full otherwise. And like I said, I don't think they'll transfer. So just thought I'd mention that. But here is where the registers are, and then the shelves that I end up using are from Dine Out. I thought they were like perfect for giving that conveyor belt look. And then I sized up some lunch bags to look like grocery shopping bags. I thought that was pretty cute. And then other than that, I do put like a few random like clutter items around the register just to make it feel a little bit more like cluttered and detailed. But a couple of other things I really wanted to have in this grocery store was a bakery area. I also wanted to have like a deli area where you would buy like your fish and meats and stuff. And so that's what this little corner over here is going to be. And these signs that we got from, I believe it was from Dine Out. It might be Cool Kitchen. I'm not exactly sure, but those signs were absolutely perfect. And I never use them because I feel like they don't really work in like a whole lot of builds, but for this build, it like totally worked. And I do stock the bakery, so you will see like cakes and cookies and stuff in there. It took a while. I did actually have to have my sim like bake everything and place it in there, but it was totally worth it and it looks so good. But here I did want it to feel like it had some aisles full of a ton of groceries. I almost forgot the word. You're building a grocery store and you forgot the word grocery. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyways, I just use a ton of things from the Build and Buy catalog, things from the debug menu, and I tried to make sure I used things that won't disappear and that won't spoil. And yeah, I just tried to make it look random so it looks like everything is like full of a bunch of different stuff and it doesn't look too repetitive. So that's what I tried to do, and I didn't really try to coordinate things as in like a bathroom aisle, does that make any sense? Like I tried to just mix everything together. It's not necessarily like the same sort of items next to each other, like only cleaning supplies here, only food here. I just tried to mix it all together. That way it just looked a bit more realistic, and I think it worked really well that way. But this is the part of the build where I cut out the most because it was so repetitive, but I tried to give you guys a really good idea of what everything looks like and what you can see on the shelves. But yeah, I think it's so cool. I'm like really excited to build another grocery store. I might build one in Magnolia Promenade is my plan because I still have a lot of work to do there for my save file. I actually forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, this is definitely for my save file, so I will place it there once I do another update. I'm not exactly sure when the next update for my save file will be. I want to get quite a few builds done for it. That way it's kind of worth an update. I don't want there just to be like 2 or 3 builds, if you guys get what I mean, because I get actually a lot of questions when the next update is going to be. So I'm not exactly sure yet, but it will come eventually. So yeah, this will be there. If you're not interested in downloading my save, it will of course be on the gallery, and I always have a link to my gallery page in the description to the builds, so you can just go to the gallery website and click download and it'll be in your game. So it should be pretty easy for you guys, hopefully. But yeah, here I'm just continuing to clutter up the shelves with tons of different stuff. I really love using the bird boxes to fill like cereal. At least that's what I want them to look like. And also the hamster feed, I want to feel like cereal too. So I don't know if they actually do, but I think it's a pretty cool idea. I would love to see like more clutter items like that, just like boxes of cereal and like random things that you would see in a grocery store or in your house or something. Do you guys ever think we would get functioning grocery stores in game? I don't know if we would, because we already have retail stores, so I'm not really sure if we would actually get grocery stores, because you can essentially make them, kind of. I don't know. So I'm not really sure if that's something that we would get, but I would love to see it. I think it would be so cool to actually get grocery stores. Let me know if that's something that you guys would like to see. I more just want like the clutter that would come along with it, so I think that would be really nice. But over here, I am cluttering up the deli area, so I'm filling this with a bunch of fish and lobster and just actually these slabs of fish I've never noticed before. I don't know if they disappear through the gallery, so if they do, I apologize. They're really easy to find. I believe they're in base game, but I thought those were really nice, along with the slabs of meat and chicken. I've never seen those before. Thought they were so cool. Over here, I am placing some bread. I think this bread does disappear, so I'm sorry if it does. I can't exactly remember if it does disappear through the gallery. Hopefully it stays, but I thought that looked really nice. But here I'm just cluttering up the counters with some vegetables. This side is going to be all vegetables, so I placed some like mushrooms and some spinach. You got your herbs and stuff over there too. And then over here is going to be all of the fruits. And so placing all of these took me ages. So this is another part of the video that I do skip around quite a bit, because it's honestly just placing the same things over and over and trying to make it look like full and abundant, like you have these overflowing like shelves of food, because I feel like a market like this would definitely have just like fully stocked, whatever you call these things, of food. So yeah, I thought it looked pretty nice. We have tons of stuff in the debug menu, tons of fruits, tons of vegetables. Some of them I did size up just to look a little bit fuller and a little bit bigger. I felt like it made some of them look a little bit more realistic. It's probably way too big. Like if you were to actually hold some of them in your hand, they'd be a bit more oversized than they probably should be, but it just made the tables look so much more fuller and just a little bit better in my opinion. So that's why I did it that way. But yeah, placing this stuff took me ages. I really wanted to size up like the apples and the lemons, but I end up not doing that because they just size up way too big. I feel like they do look a little bit tiny though. But I still think I made it work, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to say about them. It's kind of repetitive, but it's just placing fruits and vegetables, but I'm so happy with the way it looks. Like I feel like it really looks like a grocery store. Actually, something that I noticed while placing the fruits was the strawberries. They actually hover. So I had to go through and use the OMSP shelf to actually place them to where they snap on the surface and not hover. Like they snap to the surface, but they hover. So it looks a little bit weird. Oh, but here I'm placing some bananas. I almost forgot these even existed, but thankfully I found them. Oh, they look so cool. And I was like, this is so perfect. And yeah, I'm just completely happy with the way this looks. So totally thrilled. But anyways, this is basically it for the entire grocery store. I'm just placing those strawberries. Like I said, I had to use the OMSP shelf to place them in the right location. It was so frustrating, but oh, here I'm going on to the front. So like I said, I do use the laundry carts to look like shopping carts, and this is such a smart idea. So I will have the video linked in the description. Definitely check out Irrelevant Sims channel. She is so smart. Of course, there's like laundry in them, so they're not perfect, but they have like the wheels and the handles. I was so happy with them. And then I also placed some like bicycles and stuff around because I wanted it to feel a little bit more lively and stuff, and I think it gave that effect. And then also above the coolers in the grocery store, I ended up using these signs that we got from, I believe, City Living, maybe, but I placed them above there just to kind of look like advertisements and like monitors and stuff, and I thought this actually looked really good. And then I also placed a couple of magazine racks next to the cash registers just to fill in the space, and also just looked a little bit more detailed and I thought pretty realistic. And then I also switched up the sign above the bakery because I wasn't too happy with using the same sign that I used in all of the windows again. Just felt too repetitive. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. But anyways, this is basically it for the build. I'm just adding the final few details, and then we're going to be going on to the screenshot. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one, and hopefully my voiceover wasn't too much of a mess. I find community lots kind of hard to voice over, so please forgive me. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshot. So thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!
I'm home